Hi, I'm Matteo. I'm 13 years old and I love rugby. Like loads of other kids and pro players, I also have had concussion. It felt like I wanted to throw up and it felt like I was spinning. I really love rugby, but I really want to know that I'm going to be safe. In professional rugby, there is concern about repeated head injuries. This is something that my teammates and I have on our radar, and I want to find out more about it.
Matteo is one of thousands of kids in the UK who take part in grassroots rugby, a sport that's trying to work out how it deals with the problem of head injuries, along with other sports including football, boxing and the NFL in America. Concussion is one of the most frequently suffered injuries in both the elite and grassroots game.
Oh, look, he was chest to shoulder first. Yeah. There he is, he's off, look.
It's being talked about a lot at the moment because a group of over 200 former pro players are taking legal action against those in charge of the game after being diagnosed with dementia, a condition they say was caused by their rugby careers. Matteo's meeting Dr. Sam Bark, who treated him when he got injured, to find out more.
What is concussion and how exactly does it affect your brain?
So concussion is a word we use to describe a traumatic brain injury that's caused by a shock to the brain from a shaking or a direct blow. And what happens is you think of the brain as a sort of a jelly-like structure. When that gets shaken around, the jelly wobbles and the nerves of the brain get stretched because they're a little bit delicate. And that stops them working properly.
Is concussion dangerous?
So if concussion's managed well, it probably isn't that dangerous. But if we don't manage it well and people rush back to sport without resting or hit their heads during their early recovery, then that's when we start to worry about risks. And there are both short-term, so risks that can happen straight away, and more longer-term risks that we worry about people developing when they get older. And the link with dementia is something that's really our knowledge has changed on really quickly in the last few years, and where a lot of the concern around concussion has happened. Because we now believe that if people have taken multiple knocks to the head, particularly if they haven't been given those chances to recover, then the damage can be done to the brain that can cause things like dementia.
Can you tell me more about dementia?
Dementia is a word that describes people that have difficulty with things like memory, with processing information, and sometimes difficulties in dealing with their emotions and things. And the really important thing about dementia is it's an abnormal process. There's something going on inside the brain.
Matteo's learned that dementia is a serious life-changing illness that usually affects older people. Politicians are concerned about concussion in sports. A recent report carried out by MPs said that the government and many of the sporting bodies themselves had failed to take enough action to reduce the risks of brain injury in sport. In rugby, even though the issue of concussion has been discussed for the last 40 years, no definite link between repeated concussions and dementia has been officially recognised. Some doctors have suggested that the situation in rugby could actually be worse than in other sports because of the amount of contact players encounter when they're tackling or bumping into each other. But science is yet to fully understand these risks. Matteo's meeting up with ex-international rugby union pro Alex Popham, who made over 350 appearances on the pitch in 13 years as a professional player.
I started playing at the age of 4. For the duration of me being in school, rugby was my life. I was playing rugby every day. There's a lot I don't remember about my career, certain games. My last game for Wales in 2008, I've got no memories of playing in that game.
So were you and your teammates aware of the consequences of concussion?
The only thing we were asked if we had a bang to the head or got concussed was, do you feel sick? If you didn't feel sick, you were put back on the pitch. So I reckon every other day in training, definitely a few times in the game, you would see stars and you just have some sniffing salts and carry on. But we've got a chance now to educate the younger players and the current professional players in this area.
How likely is it that a kid like myself playing in the grassroots game is going to find themselves in a similar situation to yourself?
Rugby was my job. I was doing it every day. Yourself and your teammates are in a better position. You're not doing contact every day.
If you were coaching kids, what would you say to children like me?
Enjoy it. Play the game that that I love, but you've got to take knocks to the head and sometimes to the body, which cause a whiplash. Seriously, if you're not feeling yourself when on the pitch, go and speak to your coach. You don't get a badge of honour for staying on the pitch and potentially causing more damage. I just wish I knew what I know now when I was playing, because there would have been hundreds, if not thousands, of occasions where I would have come to the side and pulled myself off the pitch.
Alex and his fellow players think that the people in charge of rugby, the governing bodies, didn't look after them properly when they were playing. In England, where Matteo plays, the Rugby Football Union, or RFU, looks after rugby union. They said they can't speak about the claims Alex and other players have made, but they were able to talk to us about player safety, what that looks like for children, and why the tackle height has been lowered from shoulder level to under the armpit for some age groups. Matteo has come to Twickenham, the home of England rugby, to meet Rachel, who looks after player safety.
Research suggests that tackles are responsible for a large number of head injuries in the youth game. Is that why you've decided to make these changes?
These changes that we've made are, to try and reduce that tackle height to the armpit height, rather than for the under 15s and to under 18s, which was shoulder height before.
What difference do you think this will make?
It reduces the opportunity for those two heads to be in the same space. It creates safer practice. It just creates a better overall tackle technique.
Should kids feel worried about safety in rugby?
Lots of sports or activities that you'll play yourself, Matteo. There's a risk, but actually there's many benefits to rugby that are also really important as well. We know that the injury risk compared to what we see on TV in the professional game is lower in the youth game. And again, the way the game is played is very different to what we see on TV.
Some people have raised the question that maybe you haven't acted soon enough. What would you say to them?
The safety within rugby is very important to us, and we're continuing to look at the research and look at how we can apply that both within the professional game and within the community game as well.
The RFU believe they've done enough to make the game as safe as it can be, and say they will continue to make player welfare a priority. But others feel that further changes still need to be made. So what does Matteo think?
I've started this journey with my concussion, and after meeting passionate people like Alex and interesting people like Dr. Bark, as well as talking to the RFU about the changes that they've implemented in the youth game of rugby, there still remains the question, is there more to be done? And